Afternoon everybody, we're on a cold Friday here in February. The date today is the 7th. I managed to hide behind the Puger here and get out the wind. So here we've got Puger Energy's Puger with a 24-25 cube tank on the back with the 7.5 metre disc injector on it. So when I say injector, it's more of a cultivator, so it's incorporating the digestate into the stubble. So what we're doing is in front we're applying solid, and then behind they're coming in at night to keep the lorries running and moving digestate 24 hours a day, and they're just cutting it into the top couple of 3 inches. So they're incorporating the as you can see, it looks wet but it's not, it doesn't even stick to my boots, but they're just incorporating a bit of the solid and the liquid in here, and this is all the fertiliser for the sugar beet. So last week we didn't do any spreading or cultivating or anything because it was a wet week, but we're back on it today. Well, this week we have been all week. My brother's up there just ploughing in them behind this. This was because it's just on slight slope, so we didn't want any of the liquid running or anything. So we've incorporated it, and he's just plough pressing in. Ian and Mitch are just finishing up the last bit of muck, the last 12 loads of the solid digestate, and yeah, and then Puger Energy will come back in tonight. They'll be just finishing off applying down there on what they've spread on tonight, so we can finish ploughing this weekend. This is a new machine to them, and we thought we'd try it and see if it made any difference. You know, you've got to try different things in farming. So what the idea is that because we've incorporated it in the sort of top 3 or 4 inches, is when we plough it, you're not exactly burying it all to the bottom, just to see if there's any difference on the sugar beet yield next year. Basically, because the sugar beet potentially will be able to get hold of the nutrients a bit quicker. But in the past, we've had very good results with just applying it with a dribble bar and then ploughing it in, because your skimmer tends to skim it in through the profile. So it'll just be interesting, and we'll let you know some results. So we've actually done half of this field with this machine. The other half we dribble barred on with a tanker. So yeah, we'll be able to tell later on in the year. So hopefully by the end of this weekend we'll have everything ploughed, ready for sugar beet, plough pressed, and then we'll just go round once the ploughing's dried a bit and just subsoil the headlands on this chalk ground, just where the traffic's been and bits and pieces, and the sheep have been grazing and all of that. So while we're here, we'll do a bit on this machine, the Puger. So she's an AT 5105. She's got the front fill arm, which is an 8-inch, which has obviously got the pivot point there, which has got the turbo fill in it. So that arm comes up, docks on top of the lorry tanker onto the funnel, and then we'll suck the load through there, through the pump into the tank. And then once it's full, obviously the arm at the front folds down, and then when you're in the field, you'll put the pump to spread rather than fill, and then it will come through this 6-inch pipe at the back, and then each disc has got an outlet here, and all the digestate comes out for each disc, so you're just mixing it in between the discs. And this is so this is where it comes, and then at the back it's got a DD packer just to press it, just to give it a bit of consolidation behind. And yeah, it seems to work very well, to be fair. Maybe, you know, 5 years ago when we invested in the Veen house, this sort of machine, you know, the disc incorporator as well as the shallow disc, what we've got on the Veen house to try and reduce ammonia emissions, was massively talked about, but the government and everything hasn't really done anything about it. So the hype around it's not there at the moment, but it will be something that will come in the future. So this is why we're trying all these new things. So when it does come, we know what machines we need to use for spreading, you know, organic manures. And then also you'll see on this machine though, it's got tyre inflation as well. So it's 5-wheel drive, but each wheel I think is a 1050. So it's got 4 wheels here at the back, 2 axles, and then a big single wheel at the front, and then it pivots when it turns. This whole wheel does 360, I think. So yeah, the manoeuvrability of the machine is good. and then obviously where it's 3 meters wide, it's covering all the ground, so it's actually putting very low ground pressure on across all the tyres on the machine. It's got a class cab on it, with the class joystick controls in it, and then I think it runs off of Trimble GPS with mapping and everything, so it's a very sophisticated machine, shall we say. The digestate we're actually applying here at Burwell on my council farm is maize, sugar beet and whole crop digestate out of their plant, so it's different to the food waste digestate that we apply normally closer to London. The reason we're using this is because it doesn't justify for me to bring the stuff we remove, the food waste digestate out of London, up to here at Burwell. So yeah, that's why we're using this, and obviously at home I grow the sugar beet for British Sugar, so that goes off, and then Pretoria Energy then off the back of me have the sugar beet pulp back for their plant. Everybody else, so while we've been busy on the farm here this week, we're also been spreading for Law Farming at Royston. They've had some sugar beet lifted this week, and we're applying 25 cube of food waste digestate behind their sugar beet, which they're then ploughing and drilling spring barley behind. We've also applied some where some sheep had finished grazing as well in the Duxford area. Some food waste digestate again for sugar beet, so I think the farmer's currently ploughing that as well. So it's just a steady time of year at the minute for us. We're just on with maintenance as well. We're going to start with some ditch clearing, and that on a farm we took on at Sawston a year or so ago. We've got some dikes and that to clear out. They don't look like they've been dug for about 30 years. So it looks like there's about 2 to 2.5 foot to take out the bottom of them to try and reduce the water table, to reduce the risk of flooding, because some of the fields are flooded down there this time. So we're just going to do that to try and, as I say, reduce the amount of water about, and just see how that is going forward, because I've got Charles Garrett from Serious Rural coming out next week to talk through SFI options, and if we can't manage to lower the water table on part of that farm, that will just go into like a permanent SFI agreement. So he's going to come through, and next week Matthew will come and do a video for me while Charles is out going through different options, hopefully, of that. And I just thought it'd be interesting for everybody to sort of hear it live from like an agent sort of point of view, you know, of what you can do on your farm, because I know although you can get like spreadsheet upon spreadsheet of different options what you can do, but it's actually interesting to speak to somebody who's doing it day to day, knows more of the ins and outs of the schemes and what you can claim as a farmer to try and help your profitability of your business. After this year, we're not going to have any single farm payments, so it's back to SFI, countryside stewardship agreements, to try and bulk up your money where you can while still growing crops for food production. So that's what we're going to look into next week. Sorry we didn't do a video last week, but it was just because as a business, apart from the lorries, which we will do one later on in the year, one on the lorries bringing the digestate out, we just didn't have time to do it, what with the rain and bits and pieces, and had other things going on. So yeah, we thought we'd just give you a quick update basically on what's going on. As I say, Paul's out spreading, Ivan's been spreading as well. So we did some at Ralph Parker's as well with Severn Trent. His workman's currently ploughing that in for sugar beet as well, and it's just that sort of early sort of spring now, well not spring but late winter before spring, where we're just trying to get some land covered so people can crack on before their workload increases with spraying, fertilising, etc. I see there's been a few people out on the frost yesterday banging some nitrogen on rape. We haven't put any on yet on our oilseed rape because it's quite far forward, so we're going to probably aim to do that in the next week to 2 weeks, put some urea on. We want to get it on in the next couple of weeks, because obviously with urea compared to ammonium nitrate, it takes a couple of weeks longer to get into the plant this time of year with the cooler temperatures. So that's sort of the plan for the next week or so, and then hopefully when Ian's finished loading the muck spreader here, next week we'll get the digger, the tree shear and that over to Sawston, and we'll start doing some dike maintenance and ditch maintenance over there. And so yeah, that's what we'll be doing. So the sheep came off as well. On January the 29th, Charlie Randall came and picked all his sheep up. This is where the last of the sheep were, so hence why we're now cracking on with the digestate. So we had just under 1,600 sheep that we had, and they all went last week, as you can see from the video that Matthew's done. We had to take them across the field of barley in front of my house, and then we penned them up in the yard. There was 2 Arctic loads and 2 8-wheeler loads that went, so they're gone for another year. That worked out really well for us. The sheep have roughly done about £370 a hectare in income, so we're very happy with that, along with some mid-tier money for the stubble turnips as a cover crop. And that's one thing we'll be looking at with Charles next week with the SFI as well, seeing if there's any better options that we could mix in with the sheep as well, to see if we can maximise any more money out of these schemes. So yeah, no, the sheep have been good. My little daughter's not very happy that they've gone. Little Winnie, she's a bit upset. She keeps asking where the sheep are, but I told her they'll be back later on in the year, hopefully, if the stubble turnips, we have some rain in the summer and they come well. So yeah. So yeah, the reason this is running at night, not because we're doing anything wrong, it's just purely because in the day they're running and spreading with a dribble bar on a tanker, applying to triticale whole crops at the minute, and then just to keep the lorries going at night, and because this is on stubble and GPS, we can just keep going, and then we can plough what they do the next day. So it's just to keep the wheels turning. And because it's now February and you can apply digestate to everything where they can and where we can, we're just cracking on and making use of the time and the weather while we've got it, if you know what I mean. But also we've had Carl from CDW. He's an independent agco like mechanic specialist. He also does John Deere and fast tracks. He's been out because yesterday the 820 blew its main hydraulic pipe off of the pump, so ordered one off of TNS last night because they're only just up the road. Went and picked it up this morning. He's been out, fitted it, brilliant, great. So we're up that's why we're back muck spreading today as well. So thank you to Carl who came out today and did that. So that was very good, and Carl's only just the other side of Newmarket, so he's just up the road. So that was fantastic. And you know, it's things like this when, although the 820 wasn't a lot of money to buy, but when you start having breakdowns like that, it's surprising how it racks up. I don't know what Carl's bill will be yet, but it might be a couple of £100. The pipe was £400. All of a sudden there's £600 on a minor breakdown. So things are just getting expensive to repair now. So that's why when you have things in warranty, it's a blessing in disguise, although warranties can be expensive, but you know your cost, you know where you're at. So yeah. But anyway, next week we'll be back with some SFI talks on what we're going to do around land we farm, and look at maybe chucking some fertiliser about, or I say chucking, but spreading fertiliser about on oilseed rape and maybe some barley in second wheats. But we'll just see what the weather does and see if it warms up at all. So thank you very much.